Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and I have a Let's Resin box in front of me. I recently ordered a mold from them, one I had been wanting for a long time, and as we all know, if we're here in Canada, that the molds that Let's Resin comes out with sometimes is a challenge to get them because they're out in the States first before they're here in Canada. Anyway, I have managed to get this mold. We're going to open it up. We're going to have a look at it. I just got it. And then we're going to have some fun with this mold. I think there's a lot that can be done with this mold from a color perspective. And some of you may already have it. And I am probably going to really butcher this quite a bit, but it's the Let's Resin Large Axolotl resin mold. And I know I'm so not saying that right, but maybe you'll recognize it once I get out of the bag. I'd liken it to a lizard, if I were to liken it, or a lizard slash dragon. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this guy, but this is him. Anyway, we're going to make this little guy. We're going to see how he turns out. A very flexible mold, as you can see. Okay. And as usual, and what I love about Let's Resin is they put on how much you need. So it says it needs 4.5 fluid ounces of resin. So brilliant. We know how much to make up. I might make up a little bit extra. So what am I thinking? I have absolutely no colors, so I'm going to have to go grab some colors when we do this guy. But I look at this as being very colorful. The picture they show online on Amazon, this guy is a mixture of all kinds of colors on there, and I kind of like that. I think fantasy world. So if we're thinking fantasy world, we're not going to have anything, not that you couldn't, but plain. We want to really make this a colorful, and I'm all about color. I'm all about color. I know some of my pieces have been very subtle, but I'm all about color. So yeah, I want to go have a look through my stash of colors and see what we can come up with for this. I'm going to call it a dragon. I know that's not the name for it, but it's sort of a lizard dragon to me. So that's what I'm going to call it because I can pronounce those two words. Anyway, let me go look in my stash and see what kind of wild colors we can make this guy. I have picked out my colors. Before we get into actually coloring this guy up, I just wanted to sort of give you a little bit of an update. I was in my mica store recently, and they are clearing some stuff out and bringing some new stuff in, which is exciting in one way and it could be hard on the pocketbook in another way. But anyway, what I wanted to sort of point out to you is some of the stuff that I picked up that they have on sale or on clearance, and some of the new stuff they've got in, which is kind of exciting. So one of the things they have right now, and this isn't my store, so I don't know what they're doing at any of the other stores. Again, I'm in Canada, so I don't know what's happening down in the US as far as what they've got going on, but this normally here sells for about $45. I got this for $15. So I just thought I would mention that. As much as I don't need the molds, in some ways it'll be helpful because if you were wanting to make multiple molds and have them be the same coloring, this is helpful. So I just wanted to point that out to you. In case you're looking to get some, I thought $15 versus $45 was pretty decent. The other thing that I got were some of these Celebrate It molds. So they range from, I want to say, $3 up to $7. I don't know which was which. I think that one was $3. These little Lego pieces. Look at me go. And then I think that was $5 and this was $7. And I have an interesting idea for this, and if it works, I have other molds here that may lend themselves to doing something kind of interesting. So stay tuned for that. So, and this one, I have this already. I might already have 2 of these, but what I thought I might do with these is I have some air dry clay, which I wouldn't mind putting into these to make some pieces that way. So again, stay tuned. We'll see what we can do with that. And then some of the new stuff they've come out with, and I just picked up a couple of things. Like I could have gone, but I didn't want to. I've just gotten back from holidays. I really need to watch the pocketbook for a little bit. Anyway, Recollections. They have come out with these ink pads. They also came out with these ink pads with the reinkers to go with them. So at my store, and I would think they'd set these up at every store the same way. So they'd had these ink pads, and then right beside them they had the reinkers. And oh, they had a lot of them. They had a lot of them, which really impressed me. So that's really cool. And the price wasn't too bad. I can't remember what I paid for these, but the price wasn't too bad on getting a set of 3. So in this one, I've got bright orange, carrot, and peach. So I do like when they sort of coordinate it. Other times it's like, let me pick, but you know these colors are going to go together. So that's really cool. The other thing that I picked up, they carry Distressed by Ranger. They are selling off or clearing out their other sprays, the Distress Oxides and whatnot by Ranger, and they now have the spritzes in, which is exciting for me because there was a store I used to go to that had all kinds, and they've moved, the store has moved and it's too far away for me to go to, but they brought in the Distress Spritz, so now Michael's has them. I am really hoping that Michael's Canada may bring in some of the Simon Hurley products, but I don't know. They've really expanded on the Recollections, so if you're a Recollections fan. But I just thought I'd share this with you in case you haven't been into one of your Michael stores lately. It's spring, and as the lady up at the cashier said to me, like they're bringing out their spring stuff, but I love that they're refreshing and coming out with some new stuff. Versus, you know, maintaining the old. So that's really exciting. So I just wanted to share that with you in case you're at all interested. The stamps and the spritzes, that's more from a card making perspective, although I do have an idea from a spritz perspective with the resin. So that's kind of cool. The other thing I want to mention is I have decided that I am going to start another YouTube channel. This one is called Straight Being Intentionally Creative, and in that channel, when I get it up and running, is going to be talking to people about being creative, inspiring people to tap into their creativity, because I know sometimes people don't think they are creative, and I am here to tell you, if you're one of those people, you are creative. And I want to take the course I put together and start, you know, sharing some of that with people on YouTube. So I will keep doing my resin and my, you know, this creative part going. I have the need to sort of, you know, expand out and do my course as well, because it's near and dear to my heart, and I've been sitting on that for far too long. So stay tuned for that if you're interested and you want to learn more about being creative. If you don't think you are, then that will be the channel for you. But always, I'm going to keep giving you tips and tricks on the stuff I do here with the ceramic resin, and then throwing the odd thing in here and there. So what are we going to do with this guy, what I'm calling my dragon lizard, because I can't pronounce the name of this guy? I went and found some colors. I'm going to put that off to the side and that one off to the side, and I'll explain in a moment. So it takes 4.5 ounces, which translates into 133 mils. I'm going to make 140 just because I can. Again, rather have more than I need than not enough, okay? I am going to color this guy up with some eye candy colors. So I have this pink. I am not even going to try. I'm going to keep this simple. So we have a pink. If I can pronounce it, I will, though. Olive yellow. So it's a very interesting green yellow. We have the we have a purple, and you can laugh at me if you want. Sometimes it is kind of interesting how I can't pronounce, which is a really pretty purple with a touch of pretty blue with some purple in it. We have rainbow violet, mustard yellow, and then what I'm going to do for my resin, so we're going to take these and splatter them in here, in and around this all with those colors. And then for my resin, I'm going to use the Goose Paste Gracie, which is, and I haven't stirred this up, but it's a very pretty, just give me a moment while I push that in. All right. So it's a very pretty spring color, mint type, and I'm going to put in just a touch of the imperial jade to give it a little bit of a shimmer. So that'll be what I mix up in my resin. And again, I did think about doing white. I didn't want to do black because I figured black would be too, like, it'd make it look too dark. And I just want to play. You know me, I just want to play. So that's what we're going to mix our resin up in or with. So let me, and there was someone else on another channel that say that keep these boxes to keep their Let's Resin pieces in. So I think I might do that for this guy. I say that now, but the box may find a new home in the garbage at some point. So let's see, what do we want to use for my brushes? So again, using the makeup brushes. So we're just gonna splatter color wherever. I am not for this guy. We're just gonna splatter the stuff wherever. Now, I know some people on their channels, they've actually gotten from Temu, and I'm guessing you can get them on Amazon as well, little eyes to go in, so they look like real eyes. I don't have anything near small enough, and it seems a little tricky to get those in. Not impossible. Tricky, but not impossible. So let's just get some color going on this guy. And I'll have to be careful because I know some of these brushes, you lose the bristles can come out. I'm going to have to make sure I don't have any bristles in there. Yeah, we'll do all 4 of these claw with this yellow. It looks so pretty. And I'm realizing I haven't shut my sound off on my phone, so hopefully it doesn't go off. Once I have this done, then I'll turn it off while I mix up the resin. So what have you guys been up to? I know that there's been some areas of the States that have gotten hit by really, really wicked weather. Before we left on holidays, oh wow, it was just I don't even know how to term the weather we were having here. I've come home, most of my snow is gone now, yay. But oh yeah, the weather has just been crazy here, but I know there's been some very, very bad weather in the States, and I want to say down, and I'm not exactly sure, I'm not very good with my geography, but I'd heard that there were some really wicked storms. I also had heard that there had been a cyclone, I believe it was a cyclone that went through Australia, and I know I have a couple of people that are watchers of my channel that live in there and live down there. And so I just, I hope everybody, wherever you are, that it has been a crazy season and that you are all well. And that hopefully, it would be so nice just to, have the world spin quietly for a while. There's so much going on right now. All right, we might put some more of that yellow somewhere else. So let's do the green, and then we'll work our way up with colors. And I have birds have come back. So I saw my first robin of the year. Well, I've seen 2 of them now, but the first one on my property I have seen today. So that's great. You always know spring's coming when the birds come back. And then I have some birds. We put a metal roof on our house back in, when was it? 2021. We had to do it. Our other roof, the shingles were just, we had a bad storm and the shingles were flying off. Like, you were guaranteed a shingle was going to come off. So we finally we had no choice. The insurance company wanted us to do it, and we knew it needed to be done. And of course, doing it during the sort of pandemic years, it cost a lot more than I would have liked it to, but oh, I am so grateful for that roof now, because I don't worry when we have storms now. But anyways, because it's a metal roof, I'm going to call them the blackbirds that we have here around here, are going up in between where the original roof was and then the metal roof is, and they're building their nests in there. And I'm thinking, how are you guys even getting in there to do that? Like, it just, you guys are nuts. But that's what they're doing. They are, yeah, they're building their nests in between the space. And it's like, well, I guess if that's what you want to do. Now I'm going to have to get, so where his horns are, and I'm going to have to get one of my smaller brushes to get up in there, because I'm not getting it all the way down. Now that's not a big deal, because when I mix up my resin, because it's colored, then I am still going to end up with color. It won't be clear, so that's okay. And I think this guy would look really cool, all just a mix of glitter. I think he'd look really cool with a mix of glitter in him. And I know from my last time of doing one and putting glue in, if you'd seen that video, that I ended up with way too much glue. I didn't think I'd put too much in, but wow, did I end up with the stickiness on that one, like as far as it being thick. I can't remember what I had been doing, but yeah, that was interesting. You got to be really careful if you put glue and resin. You don't need a lot, as I've learned. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of purple down in his other horns. Yeah, I'm not sure. What might actually, I was going to say, what might work is a little micro brushes instead of, making a mess of my makeup brush here. That's an idea. I could get my micro brush down there and do that too. And then I just keep a piece of paper towel over here to wipe off the previous color. I'm being a little too chintzy on my mica powder. So do any of you have this mold from Let's Resin? Like I said, I've been wanting to try it out for a while, and finding it on our Canadian Amazon website. Again, I have to be really careful right now with buying anything from the US, just because the Canadian dollar is not as strong as I would like it to be when it comes to buying things off of US sites. And I will mention too, Eye Candy has come out with a big selection of molds. So if you're interested, go check them out. I do have a code for them listed below, so you can get a discount on them. but they've expanded. Instead of just having the, you know, big squares and circles and charcuterie boards, they have expanded the molds they have, and they look really good. At some point I want to get some to try them out, so I'm just going to mention that to you. If you like eye candy, you know, even just go check out what they've got. And the other thing I want to check out is the goose paste that they came out with. It sounded like it was just going to be on a trial basis. I'm just curious if they've gotten any more in, or if they're replenishing their stock. And I think that stuff will last you a very long time. So just, yeah, go check them out. So as I say, I'm just like, no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. Really hoping that as this, you know, comes together, that it's a really nice color when we're done. I almost feel like I should turn it inside out. I am getting a little muddy with some of my coloring. So definitely make sure you clean out your brushes. It'd be great to have, you know, one brush for purple and one brush for blue, etc., but I don't. I mean, it'd be easy enough to go to the Dollarama and pick up 2 or 3 kits of those, because I think the last one had maybe 4 or 5 of them in varying sizes, so something to keep in mind. And I think when I do this, I'm going to put it on my heating mat as well, to speed up that heat process. Or I shouldn't say, it's not the heat process, just speed up the curing process. Trying to figure out what color. Take some of my yellow. As I say, because we're using a color, if I don't have this exactly, you know, all filled up in all the spots, then we will see that the green at the end. Just gonna clean this up a little bit more. Blend it in. I'm gonna get one of these mica brushes. And we're gonna take, I'm trying to think, what color do I want to put down? Maybe I'll do some of this yellow. See how I can get that at the end. And when I'm pouring in the resin, I'm going to really want to be careful and make sure that I get it right down into the tip. So I'll do my usual sort of running it down in and going back and forth so it can coat it, and then hopefully we won't have an issue with it. And I guess if I'm kind of thinking about it, you know, I'm wondering how well. So as much as I think about putting it on the heating mat, I'm not sure that's going to work very well. only because this isn't really sitting down on it. So, I mean, it's going to warm this up. So I actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to have to let it cure on its own for the 24 hours. That's okay. Yeah, it's something, definitely something to keep in mind. Is it going to rest on the heating mat? Because if it's not, then it doesn't really make sense to do that. Just take a little bit more of this green. I guess it's not, it's a olive color. Oops. All right. And we'll pounce it out too to get rid of any sort of stuff that's loose. Ah, there's my dog. Okay, now I have missed, right, so there's 3 horns on this. And they're hard to see. The small ones, they're right in here. So, good thing to do then, I'm glad I checked it, is just to see, because there's 3 of them. And I really like that we have something in all 3. Not, again, not that it matters because of the color I'm using, but I'm going to work on, see how well I can do this. That's better. Okay, so we've got that one done. Let's have some fun. Let's do the other one. Let's do it blue. It's not going to match up, but that's okay. Again, it's supposed to be a fantasy creature. I'll just add a little bit of blue into that second one, just because I can. All right. So now you can see that we've got them done. It does look a little odd, doesn't it? Oh well. Here, we'll make it look a little less odd by putting a little bit of purple in there. All right. That should do it. So that's what it looks like on the outside. I want to see about... Give me a second. All right. Sometimes hard to get these guys, eh? But yeah, I think he's going to look pretty cool when he's done. I think he's going to be mostly purplish in color, but that's okay. Right. Now I will make up my resin. We'll come back when that's done so you can see the color that is going to go inside of him. And then we'll let him cure up for his 24 hours. And you know what? As I'm looking at that, I think I'm going to clean that blue out and put the purple in. It just looks too off. Too noticeable now. So I'll take care of that and get purple put in that instead. And bring you back when I start to fill them up. We are ready to pour. I separated my resin out into 2 cups so that when it went into the debubbling machine, I didn't have to worry about it bubbling over. So we're going to do this really carefully because we've got a couple of spots that we want to make sure that we don't end up with missing resin. So the places I'm most concerned about are the horns at the front and the very back of the tail. So I think what we'll do is we'll start at the back of the tail and we'll get some of this poured in. and let it flow back there. Okay, and I know it's going to flow forward, which is fine. So we'll just let it flow in and out. Like I say, I like to kind of move it around a little bit. And then we'll bring it back. Just so it gets coated. I think it helps if it gets coated. And we'll just press the very tip of this. I'm always trying to figure out where I need to be to show you guys, eh? So we'll just press it a little bit in case there are some bubbles. All right, now let's pour in around the eyes. We'll just pour, well, just trying to think of how I can make this go the easiest and best way. Now, of course, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm letting some of the resin that I've already got in there go in, and then we'll let it flow into the next one. It's really, yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting part with these, is the horns and the tail, potentially. So as much as I sort of want to have you on board for this, I kind of have to see what's going on here. My poor puppy dog does not like the debubbler. Boy, that thing makes a lot of noise. Can't really say I blame her. It's a loud machine. I don't know if you've got the Let's Resin one. I'd be really curious to know, you know, how loud it is, if it's loud. But I promised her once I got this poured, we'd go outside. And she's going, okay, can you just get done then? So we'll just squeeze the horns. I don't think I even have the very top one done yet. Anyways, let's get some more resin poured in here. And maybe I'll pour some up down through the feet. In there. And if you're hearing a noise in the background, that is my sump pump that has been going off constantly. It's been working diligently over the last for a long time now. We got so much snow, and so it's a matter of, it's like till the ground decides to dry up. Even though most of my snow is gone now, there's a lot of moisture in the soil. All right, let's just pour this and get it up into those eyes and those horns, and then we'll move it around a little bit. I want to squeeze, make sure I don't have any air bubble. Very hard to see when you're doing that. I'm really hopeful that I get everything where I need it to be. Right. I don't know how many other people do it like I do, but I don't know. Gives me comfort. All right. Let's pour the rest of this in here. I didn't really show you the color, but it's a really pretty. It's interesting because the mica powder I put in with this didn't really do a lot. It's giving it a shimmer, which is kind of nice. I can clean that out more later. Let's just bounce this guy. We'll just do this a couple of times. Be careful not to let it go. All right. Just pour the rest of this in here. And I only ran the debubbling machine for about maybe 7 minutes. Again, I don't leave it too long only because of the fact that I think it's, you know, it starts to set if you leave it for too long. And I sometimes, you know, I've been wondering too a little bit about the using the mixer on it, if that, because it's mixing so fast, and I mean, I think I've got it on the lowest setting, to be honest with you, but I'm wondering if part of it starting to sort of set up is because it's getting mixed like that. Like if that gets the heating process going, the setting process going. I'm going slow around where the feet are so that I'll run into the claws. And I, you know, get them filled up properly. I think I'm going to have just enough. Okay, so I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm just going to pull that in. To the claw area. All right. Now we're very carefully going to move him aside. Very carefully without... Okay, what I really want to do is just get that out from underneath his tail. There we go. That did that. I want to make sure I get as much of the resin out of here and then I get this cleaned up so I have it for another use. So I made approximately 140 of this. So when I figured it out using the Google to figure out what 4.5 fluid ounces was, and I had said it was 133 based on their calculations. I made 140 just because it was an easier number to work with from part A to part B. I might have needed just a tad more, but I think we'll have enough for what we're doing. I am going to clean up and do this tedious without you having to watch. Oops. But there we have it. I have a cover for it. I will concern myself with bubbles as we're just pushing at that end just to let it flow. So yeah, I'll clean up. We'll come back in 24 hours. I'll make sure that all the toes have the resin in them. I don't think they're very thick. I don't think they're meant to be. And then we will hope that my horns, as I'm looking at them, are okay. But then at least you'll know if you ever get this, you know, what you might want to do. I think I might have one little air bubble in here on the biggest one on this side. But I could be mistaken. It could just be a little misleading, right, because of the mold itself. Anyway, I guess we're going to find out in 24 hours what we're up against. I'll see you then. Well, we are at the next day. We're ready to come out of the mold, see how it turned out, and fingers crossed we don't have any air bubbles. Yeah, that's always the interesting, right? When we have spots like this, you just never know what you're going to get. So let's see how easy it is. I woke up in the middle of the night. I came down and grabbed it. Again, very, very cool down in my basement right now. I decided I'd take it upstairs where it was warmer and just let it sit upstairs for a little bit, and then brought it back down this morning. So yeah, we know that the resin really doesn't like cold. I sometimes think I should have put my workspace upstairs, but I do like being downstairs a lot more. And I'm going to have some cleaning up to do of the mold. And I think we're going to do the tail last. I think that might be easier. Loosen this up. I'm going to end up with glitter all over my hands. Or I should say mica powder. I didn't put glitter on this. It's mica powder. Come on. Let's go. After a couple of goes at getting this out, I should be good to go to make a couple more of them. It seems that the more you do, the molds seem to loosen up. And I know molds are really flexible, but I do try to, as I yank it off, try to be careful with them. If I could get it around, oh my gosh, and away from here somehow. Maybe I should start at the tail. Maybe that would be easier. I was thinking the face might be easier, but I'm not thinking so much. Oh my gosh. If you got one of these and you know how the easiest way to get it out of its mold, you just let me know in the comments. I am game for that. Alrighty. Apparently the tail is the way to go. Maybe. We'll get it. We'll get it. There we go. Ah, finally. Persistence. Well, at least you know what you're in for if you get this mold. And if you've already got it and you've figured out the best way to do it, cheers. I'm going to have to learn that. All right, so here we are. Now, I have some air bubbles. Well, let's just look at them first, and then I'll show you where my air bubbles are. Now, interestingly enough, and I don't know whether this is because of the mold, or it may be just the way it's been made. Yeah, okay, so I don't know how well you're going to see this, but in the back, and I'll bring you up here. So right in here, I've got a bit of a slit in his claw where it attaches to his leg. But you notice on the other ones, there's like they all blend. Okay. They all blend in. So I'm looking at the mold to see why I've got sort of this indentation here. And where is it? So on this one, like the silicone goes in more. The other ones, it's not the same. There's not as much silicone, whereas this one's got more. So I don't know whether I will do anything with that. So right here, and that's at the front here, right? So it's that one at the back, yeah. Whereas the other ones don't have as much, right? So there's not as much of a ring of silicone. So I don't know if that was done on purpose, but we do have an indentation here. I don't really like it, but I would want to be really careful if I do decide to cut it, that I don't ruin it. Yeah, that's hard to say. I might just leave it and just, yeah, it's part of the process. It's part of what the mold looks like. But this is what he looks like. I'm glad I did the green so that, I mean, it filled it out nicely, having green mica powders on it and then filling it in with green. I could have used purple. I wanted to use a lighter color so we could see, you know, I didn't want him too dark. The purple and the green are definitely the colors of the day. I did fix up the one ear or the one horn. I cleaned it out. I put the purple in because it wasn't going to look right. I sort of knew that. He's smiling at you. I'll take my hand away. Okay, so where do we have some air bubbles? At the top of this tip, I'm going to have to fix that up. I have the top of this one too. So that's something, again, we all know this, that the air bubbles get trapped in certain spots. So all three of these have issues. And thankfully, these three do not. These are all fine. I do have some issues, so I'm going to put my other glasses on so I can show you where I have the issues on mine. It's been a while since I've wore these. Okay, I have... So some of these under this paw, and I don't know, or under this claw, we can all call them what we want. So anyways, at the bottom of these horns, these little jut outs, I've got issues there too. So I should have done some more mushing of resin. I have them on this side too. Again, the claws may be in the way, but we have issues under there. So I wouldn't be as concerned on the bottom, but I will, I know me, I'm going to fill them in with UV resin. And then at the side here, I have this here. So there are, if you have one of these, or you get one of these, you're going to want to, you know, really work with the resin to get it into the spaces it needs to be into so that you don't end up with having to fix it with UV resin. I guess you could, you know, maybe sand them down a little bit, but yeah, that's a bit of an issue. He is cute. His face came out really well. The underside of him looks really cool and good. I'm going to have to go around with my deburring tool. Someone had mentioned to me in one of my videos, I believe the girl's name is Girl in the Garage. Apparently she has done a video on using the deburring tool. I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to watch it so I can get some tips on how best to do this. But there we have it. I think, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that I think doing this in, like, filled with glitter or something like that, I think would be really interesting. I think there's a lot you can do with this. It's a fantasy. To me, you could do all kinds of things with this. And, yeah, so he looks kind of cute. I don't know where I'm going to put him. I may or may not do something with the eyes. I'm not 100% sure on that. I will be fixing up, especially these peaks, with UV resin so that I can get that the way I want it. But here we go. There we are. Another creation done. So let me know in the comments below if you've got this, how best to get it out of the mold. And right now I'm going to say from the tail towards the head. And yeah, so that's the video. I've got an interesting one coming up because it's an idea that I think is kind of cool. And you're just going to have to wait to see it. Take care. Be creative. Thank you for watching and commenting. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.